Mid-Module 1 Study Guide. We are going to be comparing less than, greater than, and equal to using our place value chart. So the first problem we're going to look at is 4 and 2600ths compared to 42 and 600ths. So the first thing we come over here do is label our chart with those two numbers. As I'm looking at these two numbers, I can see that this number has 4 more tens. So when I go to explain that, I am going to say that there are 4 more tens in 42 and 6/10 than in 4 and 2600ths. When we look at 8 tens and 5 ones, that means we have 8 tens and we have 5 ones. And then we're going to compare that to 80 and 500ths. I see that that has the same amount of tens. Then I look at the ones and I see that 85 has 5 more ones. So when I explain my answer, I'm going to say the tens are equal, but then 85 has 5 more tens than 80 and 5 tenths. Number 2, write the numbers below on the place value chart. Make sure to label the chart with each of the values. So my chart's already labeled with values. So my first number is 60, 67 and 1/10. And then my second number is 3 and 500. So I have them labeled in the correct spots. Okay, our next problem says the student height average for 5th graders was rounded to the nearest 10, 130 centimeters. Circle all the measures below that could be the actual measurement of student height. Use a number line or place value chart to round the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4 are weak numbers. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are strong numbers. So when we're talking about weak numbers, that means they drop down because they're not strong enough to be pushed up to the next number. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are strong numbers because they're strong enough to be pushed up to the next number. So let's look at A. A is 138. So when we come over here and look at our chart, we label the end as 130 because when you're rounding to the nearest 10, you look at these two numbers here and you have 13 tens. So it'd be 130 or 13 tens. And then so the number on the other line of your number chart will be the next one up. So 13 tens, then 14 tens, or 140. In the middle would be 13 tens plus 5, which would be the 135. So now we look at 138, that would actually fall here. So that means 138 is closer to 140, so that is not the number that could possibly round it to 130. So now we do the same thing. We look down here and we see that we have 13 tens. So over here we have 13 tens, which is 130. Then we have 14 tens, which is 140. In the middle, we do the 13 tens plus 5, which is 135. Then we would place our number, which is 132. This one is closest to 130, so it could have been one of the actual heights that was used to find the average. And to explain our answer, we could say I looked in the ones place. Since I was rounding to the nearest 10, 8 is closest to 140, but 2 is closest to 130. C says convert 130 centimeters to meters. So the first thing we need to remember is there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter, and that helps us to solve this problem. So that means that we are going to write 130 on our chart, and then we have to divide by 100. So that means we go back 2 spots, 1, 2. So that will give us 1 3/10 meters. Now the next thing is said to write the following exponents in an equation, or write the following with exponents and in an equation. So 100, when we do that, it's 10 times 10. So we'd write 10 to the second power. You also can look at the zeros. We know there's 2, so it'd be 10 times 10. So 1,000 would be 10 to the third power, because there's 3 zeros. And then that means we take 10 times 10 times 10. 10,000 is 10 to the fourth power, or 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, keeping in mind how many zeros we have there. 100,000 is 10 to the fifth power, so 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. Do a great job on your test, and remember, I can and I will.